you're going to see that Georgia defense get exposed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But here's the real question. Can Stetson Bennett rise up to the occasion? Can DoorDash Bennett prove that he's more than a mediocre quarterback? Merry Christmas. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Week 10. Can you believe it? It's already here. The Week 10 preview. It goes without a single doubt in my mind. This is going to be the best weekend of college football all throughout the season. It's not even going to be close. Well, actually, hold on. Now that I think about it, there's only 2 good games, but those 2 good games, they're both top 10 matchups and also, what do you know, SEC matchups. So if you're not an SEC fan, you're probably sitting there going, yo, Matt, this ain't going to be the best weekend of college football. If you are one of those people saying that, I do got to give you credit, and maybe you're right. Maybe, just maybe, it's a little unfair of me to say this is going to be the best weekend in college football this season just because there's 2 SEC top 10 matchups. Although, let's just be real here for a second, when it comes to college football, the SEC is the only conference that really matters. Regardless of all that nonsense, however you feel about it, it's going to be a heck of a weekend for one game and one matchup only. I don't even care about the Alabama and LSU game, even though it's a top 10 matchup. I'm here for, and we're all here for, this Tennessee and Georgia game at 2:30. We've got a lot to talk about. Y'all know the drill. It's rather simple. We're going to preview all the big-time games. Not doing no intro, none of that. If you like college football content, consider subscribing. If you don't want to subscribe, that's cool too. All right, man. Blah, blah, blah. Shut up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Y'all know how this goes. We're going to kick it off with our 11 a.m. games first. And first things first, you know what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about the Ohio State. Typical Big Ten schedule. After one decently hard game, or not even a hard game, but a decent matchup, is back to the cupcake conference at that. They're playing 1-7 Northwestern. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm talking about when I say the Big Ten sucks. And if that wasn't good enough for you, Big Bad Michigan, they get a tough one against Rutgers as well. The Big Ten is an absolute disgrace and a joke to the rest of college football, and that's a nice way to put it. Here's a real question with this Michigan and Ohio State game. Is Ohio State and Michigan going to win by 30 points or 40 points? It's just sad, it really is. They need to hurry up and let USC and Oregon join the conference. Like I was saying in the intro though, there's not too many good matchups outside of the Tennessee-Georgia game and Bama-LSU. So with that being said, we're jumping straight into the 2:30 CBS game of the week, Tennessee and Georgia. I got a question. All throughout this week, I've been trying to figure this out. Why is Georgia an 8-point favorite? I believe only 2 days ago they was a 9.5-point favorite, and yesterday they was a 9-point favorite, so it has went down a little. But by the time it kicks off, it looks like Georgia's going to be about 7 to 8-point favorites. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mind Georgia being the favorite, but 8 or 7 or 6 seems like way too much. They should only be a 3 or 4-point favorite. I'm not going to sit up here and try to act dumb though, because I know why it's this way. These odd makers and these analysts, they don't trust Tennessee, and I can't blame them. The past 15 years, they've sucked. So it wouldn't really make too much sense, even though they beat Alabama and they're having a great year, to make this line only Georgia's a 3 or 4-point favorite. I get it. But still, Tennessee's having a magical year. 8 points. If I bet, and I'm not a betting man, I'd be eating that up. Because think about it. Even if Tennessee loses by a touchdown, you still win the bet. For all my betting people out there, I would put all my money on Tennessee. Keep in mind, that's not on Tennessee to win the game. That's just to cover the spread. Anyways, moving along, regardless of all that, let's just cut the BS and get straight to the point. This isn't going to be a defensive slugfest. I don't care how good Georgia's defense is. I said it earlier in the week. I'm going to say it again. You're not stopping Tennessee's offense. You can't. It's impossible. You can't even quote-unquote contain them either, because they will score 30 points at minimum. The X factor in this game is one player and one player only, Stetson Bennett. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. Can Stetson Bennett keep Georgia's offense in this game? Can he perform under pressure? How's he going to react if he goes down by 7, 14, or maybe 21 points? Keep in mind, when Bennett has struggled throughout his career, especially in those 2 games against Alabama, Georgia was falling behind and he needed to make a play, and instead of making a play, he had a costly interception or a costly fumble. Georgia still plays relatively like an old school team, like your 2010 or 2011, 12 Alabamas. Georgia's at its best when they're winning, when they're up by 7, 10, 14 points, because that's how they play on offense. They want to run the ball, I'd say about 4 out of 5 plays, and do a play action here and there, and let Stetson Bennett get a 10-yard slant pass. Oh yeah, here's a little fun fact for you. Stetson Bennett has only 2 passes of over 40 yards this entire season. That's why I call him DoorDash Bennett. All he throws is bubble screens to Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington. The fact that Tennessee's backup quarterback has more 40-yard passes than Stetson Bennett, it should tell you everything you need to know. Look, I'm not here to sit up here and criticize, ridicule, and call him mediocre. We all know that, and I've done that enough. Anybody with any football IQ whatsoever understands that Stetson Bennett is not a good quarterback. He's average at best. Will he make some good plays here and there? Yes, but that doesn't negate all the bad plays he makes. So therefore, when you make good plays and bad plays, and for the most part you're mediocre, I define you as average. Make no mistakes about it. Tennessee, at some point in this game, whether it be the first quarter, fourth quarter, whenever, they're going to struggle. They're on a road in a hostile environment. Although Georgia can't even compare to Neyland Stadium at night, it's going to be toxic. To go along with that, I have faith. I believe in Kirby Smart. He's going to have a good game plan for that defense. However, just like I harped on, I don't think you can stop Tennessee's offense. I expect everybody on that Tennessee offense to have a great game, from Jabari Small to Jalen Hyatt, Brew McCoy, Cedric Tillman, Hendon Hooker. They're going to do what they do. Look, guys, it's not week 2, week 3, or week 4. We know what to expect out of these teams. You are who you are. You can't hide anything. We're 8 games in the season, about to be 9 games. What we've seen up to this point, that's who you are. And with Tennessee averaging 49.4 points per game to be exact, that's who they are. Like I said in the video we posted earlier this week, reminds me a lot of 2019 LSU and 2020 Bama. The only way to even come close to beating this Tennessee team, and they're special, and that may be an understatement, is you got to outscore them. And I know what you're sitting there saying, well, duh, Matt, that's how you win the games, but you get what I'm trying to say. You're not going to beat Tennessee in a 21-14 game. You're not going to beat them in a 17-10 game. No, it's going to be in the 30s. At minimum, if Georgia wants to win this game, you got to get in the high 30s. And I think every Georgia fan would agree with me on that. That's the question, though. With Stetson DoorDash Bennett leading the show, can they even get in the high 30s? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I got some bad news for Georgia. Tennessee has one of the worst passing defenses in the country. However, listen to this part if you don't listen to a single other thing I say. They got one of the best rushing defenses in the country to go along with that. I know, it doesn't make sense to me either. How do you have a top rushing defense but a terrible passing defense? I brought that up to say this. Theoretically speaking, how do you upset this Tennessee team? How do you beat them? You got to have a quarterback who can pass and push the ball down the field. And Stetson Bennett can't do that. I don't care what any of you say. You see the stats right here. He's only attempted 2 passes over 40 yards. I've seen DoorDash Bennett play for 2.5 years. I know what to expect. He is who I think he is. There's a reason he's 29 years old and playing college football. Because once he gets done, he's going to be delivering pizzas for DoorDash. Whoa. Hold on. It seems like I'm leaning towards Tennessee. But not so fast, my friend. Georgia has a pretty big advantage over Tennessee that I don't see too many people bringing up. They have far more talent. Keep in mind, this Tennessee team is still quote-unquote, I'm not saying they're rebuilding, but they're on the come-up. They're still not on the standard of an Alabama. They still don't have the players like a Georgia, Ohio State, or Bama at this current moment. Yes, they have their fair share of 4- and 5-star recruits, but it's nowhere even close to the level of Georgia. And that's what concerns me for Tennessee, because athlete for athlete, Georgia's better, and it's not even debatable. When it comes to your wide receivers and running backs, you can make the argument all day long that Tennessee and Georgia, they're equal. But Georgia really separates themselves when it comes to tight ends. Do I even have to say anything about it? We all know Brock Bowers. He's a freak of nature. He was one of the best tight ends in the country last year, and Darnell Washington, he's right up there with them. As to how you stop these guys, I don't know, but here's what I'm actually looking forward to the most as well. Georgia, they want to run the ball, but Tennessee's good at stopping the run. So something's going to have to give. And I'll tell you this much. If Tennessee is stopping Georgia's run, Stetson Bennett's biggest nightmare is going to come true. His biggest nightmare is being down by 7, 10, or 14 points in a game because he's not the type of quarterback that can lead you back like a Bryce Young. Let me ask you a question, Georgia fans. Do you think if DoorDash Bennett was down 28-10 in Neyland Stadium, he could lead you to a comeback like Bryce Young did? No! With all that being said, however you cut it up, chop it up, break this down, it seems like about half people think Georgia's going to win and the other half think Tennessee's going to win, rightfully so. It seems like an even and fair matchup, and that's why so many people are looking forward to it. And I would say for myself, it's also feeling like a coin flip. And whenever we have equal matchups in football teams, I always pick the team with the better quarterback. Maybe that's not a rule for some of y'all, but to me, that is my golden rule. I thought Alabama and Tennessee, it was an equal matchup. It was going to be an equal game, but I thought Bryce Bryce Young was a better quarterback, in which he was, and he played out of his mind, so I picked Alabama to beat Tennessee. Because what have I said on this channel? What have I emphasized? At the middle school, high school, college, and NFL level, you can only go as far as your quarterback can take you. That's a cold hard fact, and for that reason, y'all know where I'm going with this. I got Rocky Top. I got Tennessee winning this game 35-31. Now, I understand that kind of seems like a low-scoring affair, but I think you're going to see a lot of fireworks in this game. The reason I say I got Tennessee winning 35-31 and not like a 45-42 is because Georgia, they're going to try to milk that clock. They don't want to get into a high-scoring affair. They want to slow the game down. Because trust me, Kirby Smart, he likes old DoorDash Bennett, but he knows that's not a type of game he wants to get into. A track meet with Tennessee, no. Georgia will look to slow this game down, but at the end of the day, I got Tennessee pulling it out because I believe in Hendon Hooker. Moving along here to our night games at 6 p.m., we got another top 10 matchup in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We got Alabama and LSU. I don't want you to get me wrong on this. It's not so much that I'm not excited for the Bama game. It's more so of I just can't wait to see this Tennessee and Georgia one. As to where it stands, and I think it's going to finish out at this, Alabama is currently a 13.5 point favorite, which I agree with. I've seen a lot of people throughout this week say, I can't believe that LSU's a top 10 team. They don't belong there and blah, 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 blah. Well, here's my question. When you look at the teams behind them, would you really pick any of them to beat LSU? I wouldn't. You also got to look at LSU's 2 losses. One of those being a kicker's fault because he missed an extra point, and the other one being against the number 1 team in the country in Tennessee, in which Tennessee did embarrass them on their home field, but still it's the number 1 team. On the flip side for Alabama, I don't have to say too much. We know Alabama. Bryce Young, they got a great offense, they got a good defense, blah, 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 blah. We know what to expect. The one thing that I'm looking forward to the most, and it's going to be the X factor, is Jayden Daniels. Can that LSU offense keep up with Alabama's offense? This isn't going to be like last year where it's a struggle fest and it's a 20-14 game. No, I think you're going to see some fireworks similar to the Georgia and Tennessee game. Jayden Daniels is the definition of electric. I tweeted it out 2 weeks ago, and I said that he's going to give that Alabama defense problems, and I still believe that. As far as it goes for LSU's defense, do they have a chance to stop Bryce Young in Alabama? Absolutely not. They may get a stop here and there, a lucky fumble, interception, but for the most part, Bryce Young's going to have his way, and Jahmyr Gibbs is also going to have his way. Jayden Daniels, the LSU quarterback, he's looked really solid this year, better than what most people give him credit for. He's the 3rd best quarterback in the SEC. He also has weapons, Kayshon Boutte. You never know what's going to happen with him. It seems like he's got attitude problems, but I expect him to have a good game. Oh yeah, I can't believe I almost forgot to bring this up. Pay attention to Eli Ricks, the former 5-star recruit. He was an All-American for LSU. He transferred to Alabama, and now he's finally starting to play. That's going to be interesting to see how he matches up with his former team. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. I simply don't think it's LSU's year. It's Brian Kelly's first year. I think Jayden Daniels, he's not quite on the level of a Hendon Hooker to upset Alabama. I got Bama winning this one 35-21. I like that score. I think Alabama's going to jump out on them early and control the pace, and it won't be a game they have to worry about too much. Like I said, though, I do expect Jayden Daniels to give that Alabama defense fits and problems, but I think LSU, it's not their year. They still got a lot of things to work on, and it just doesn't seem like they have everything together. And for that reason, I got Bama, but keep your eyes on this one. Don't write LSU off quite just yet. Moving along to this top 25 matchup, I guess it really doesn't matter on the grand scheme of things when it comes to the playoff. We got Texas and Kansas State. Neither of these teams can make the playoff. It's really a game that doesn't, I guess you could say, matter, but Texas is a 2.5 point favorite. You know, it's kind of hard for me with Texas and Quinn Ewers. I thought Ewers was the best thing since sliced bread, and then he goes out there a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was a week ago, I can't remember, and he didn't play that good. Kansas State's rolling. They got this game at home. Why not? Give me the upset. I got K-State. I mean, it's Texas, guys. Come on now. The one bad thing about them is, yes, they're going to play up to their competition like against Alabama, but they're also going to play down to their competition. It is what it is. After that game at 6:30, we got Clemson and Notre Dame, and Clemson is only a 3.5 point favorite. Who knows what's going on there with DJ Ugabadoogie and Cade Klubnik? Apparently, Dabo Swinney is saying that DJ Ugabadoogie, he's still going to be the starter, no debate. But that doesn't make sense to me because he's not that good. And Cade Klubnik, he's the future. Kind of the same thing with Penn State. Yeah, maybe starting that 5-star Drew Aller, it may not be the best thing right away, but it's the best thing long term. I'm not going to rant on this. Y'all know how I feel. You're not going to win a championship with Ugabadoogie. At least with Cade Klubnik, he could possibly get you there one day. And that's going to wrap up our recap. I know we only talked about 4 or 5 games, but that's all the good games out there. There is another top 25 matchup with Wake Forest and NC State. Who cares? The ACC is overrated. You put any of these teams in the SEC, they go 7-5, 6-6. I'm very curious, though. Like always, let me know your thoughts down below. But